the sports collectors of the year in the Upper Deck Beckett.
What? Like you were like in the magazine?
Oh yeah.
Hello and welcome to Chiaspora. I am Marc Morgan. This is the show where we interview those who left Chicago, but Chicago never left them. Today we have a dude who you've probably seen if you've gone to any concerts of late. He has been the drummer, touring drummer specifically from Post Malone to Liz Phair, correct? This is Neal Daniels, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you very much. This is your cam, by the way, if you want to say hello
Hi,
to
camera. Hi.
Nailed that.
Thanks.
So you've been touring like nonstop, I feel like.
It's nice to be home for a week or so.
How many years have you been touring, all in?
Well, I've been in LA for almost 10 years.
When'd you come out?
2009. Well, 2010. So
I came out in 2011.
Okay, cool.
Um,
I was in school it was a 2-year like jazz program, and then I started traveling at the end of that 2 years. So pretty consistently for 7 or 8 years.
You grew up in the city of Chicago. Where specifically?
North Shore.
Okay.
In Vernon Hills.
The person,
You know what it is?
the person who sat in that chair last episode was in Vernon Hills.
Yeah, I've met. It's like it's not as rare as you think to meet someone from like Mundelein or Vernon Hills.
Yeah.
It's like all over the place.
But here it's funny. We joke around about this because like everywhere in Chicago, it's like I'm from Chicago. Where are you really from? No, I'm from Vernon Hills. Oh, that's not Chicago.
Yeah,
but
I
when
know,
you're out here though, oh, you're Chicago.
Yeah, no one knows Vernon.
Yeah, so, well, they just know Chicago. That's it. But
Yeah.
you went to high school. Where'd you go to grammar for elementary school?
Elementary school, Diamond Lake, and then West Oak in Mundelein.
Okay.
And then Stevenson.
Oh, you went to Stevenson.
Stevenson.
There's a Vernon Hill high
There is a
school,
Vernon. I was like on the cusp. I don't know what. Like maybe it was like one street because there was friends of mine that went to Vernon Hills.
A bunch of my friends went to Stevenson. A bunch of my friends.
Yeah,
we
well,
probably crossed
our
a lot
mutual
of
friend
paths.
Cody went to Vernon Hills. I think Vernon Hills.
I think so too.
Yeah.
But that's so funny because I don't know. So Stevenson's huge for anybody, right?
Massive.
So if you guys don't know, it's like it's a college campus essentially, like a mini college campus.
Like 6,000 or 7,000 kids. It's nuts.
It's insane.
It was great. It was great. I'm running into guys that went there from graduated before me or after me, and it's huge. That's a big network of people.
Did you start drumming at an early age?
Yeah, my dad was a drummer, part-time hobbyist. So there was always drums in the house. So I was playing in like the 5th grade. I started in the band in West Oak, and then I played guitar. I was like in the metal guitar world, and then kind of went back to drums. And mid high school through now, it's all been drums.
And you kind of knew at an early age, you're like, this is what I want to do.
I knew I didn't want to do school work.
Yeah, it was by default. It wasn't school, so it had to be something fun.
Yeah, and drums it was easy because it was in the house, and it was a part of my life before I knew it was my life. So.
Do you have siblings?
Younger sister.
Does she care for music?
She's in musical theater in New York.
That's cool.
My mom is still in Chicago, and I'm out here, so that's we're all over the place.
Well, the reason I ask is like I asked for drums in 5th grade to be in the band, and there was a hard no.
Interesting.
And I was like, what about the pads? What about that? Like, no.
That's tough.
Sucks.
They should allow everyone to play drums.
Oh, I know, of course. My little guy, he wants to play drums so bad. I was like, we'll get there.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where, at the time when I growing up, did you have like a garage? Did you play in a garage?
Basement.
I see.
Midwest basement.
Yeah, the people don't know that out here in LA. They're like,
there's a few
what's
like
a
random
basement?
ones, but it's not safe out here.
No,
But
it's very different.
everyone had a basement in Chicago, and then
course.
like my high school band rehearsed in my buddy's dad's dining room that we converted into like this rehearsal space. I mean, it was all like just suburbia houses and basements, and it was great.
But you drum up a storm, and no one was like, no, don't be doing that.
I mean, when my mom was working all day or dad was working all day, and they're coming home to double bass drum, metal drumming at 5 or 6 p.m. It's
A little much.
it was a little much, but no, it was nice, and like a little soundproof down there. It was nice.
That's
nice
cool.
To start in the basement.
So in high school, did you start? Like you're saying, you started to play in bands. Were you starting these bands? Because by the way, around that time, Fall Out Boy and Plain White Tees, all those dudes are from the burbs as well. I feel like that's kind of around the time a lot of the Chicago bands started, like maybe a couple years before you, actually.
Yeah, I graduated in 2007.
But were you were you like really gunning for trying to get a band together to do that kind of stuff?
I was not necessarily like the Fall Out Boy genre. We were more in like the jam band world, like Humphreys McGee. It was like that. Those were like our dudes, like our biggest influences back then, and now those are like buddies of all of ours, and
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in a band. I was in a metal band called Annex.
Of course.
Freshman year of high school,
Of course, it's called Annex.
And then we started another band called Chicago Green, which was, that was like our jam band. Humphreys, / Metallica metal band, and that lasted all through high school
That's cool.
and beyond.
So where'd you go to college? Or did you do college?
I went to CLC, if you're familiar with that, in Lake County.
What is that?
A community college where I was confused. I didn't know where I was going, or if I was like going to go to LA. I mean, I didn't even know I wanted to go to LA because all my friends went to Roosevelt downtown and like Columbia and DePaul.
That's where I went. I went to Columbia for college.
And that was like what most of my music buddies were doing. And I don't know, I felt the urge just to go somewhere else. It was, my dad passed away early high school. I think I was just like wanting to leave that whole area.
I don't want to sidetrack. I'm just curious. I also lost my dad, but it was in college. What did he pass from?
It was a very random blood clot on his liver. It was like some crazy. It was super.
So it was like a snap kind of thing. Like
it was like healthy one day in the hospital, the next day, and then a month in the hospital. And it was like sophomore year, I think, in high school or junior year. It was nuts. It was a crazy time. So then, still playing music and doing the whole thing, and I went to community college because I didn't know I wanted to commit to like the big like Roosevelt school, and
right.
So that was like a year and a half, and then my drum teacher, this guy David Jennings, changed my life and told me about this school in LA. Meanwhile, my best buddy Max went to the summer program at that same school, and it was like this whole whirlwind happening, and then I ended up going to the summer program as well, and then I went the fall of 2010.
That's awesome.
Maybe it was 2009, one of those. But then I left, and it was it was the best decision ever because it changed my life. But
you're living it. You're doing it.
Trying my best. Yeah.
Have you seen? You have to have seen the drumming movie. I'm thinking of Miles Teller.
Oh, Whiplash with the bleeding and sweating cymbals and stuff.
How realistic, in any type of education in drumming, was that to your life? Not even close. Because that was a very, very intense program in that movie. But it's based off a true story.
I guess. I mean, I never had a chair thrown at me or anything.
Right.
I mean, the concept is great. And there are like moments that like I think actually happen, but I've never experienced like a teacher like that. And I mean...
But remember, there's the scene that I remember the most is the leading rushing. Is it what it was? Is that what? What is it called?
That's like dragging, and rushing. That's like story of my life. Just drummers' worst nightmares. Right. Timekeeping, even though it should be their strongest suit, but it's always, it's the hardest thing. So
being that metronome for the rest of everybody. But I'm just curious when you saw that movie, because to me, I love music. And when I was watching that, I was going, oh my God, this would make me hate music. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that you never had to experience that, so you've just kind of had fun essentially?
Yeah, I think since I was already playing music professionally when that movie came out, maybe I was like, I don't know. I think musicians tended not to like that movie, and
is that true?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
I mean, I don't want to speak for everyone, but
no, speak for everybody, please.
As far as everyone goes, we all hated it. Musicians hated that movie, but everyone else seems to really enjoy it. So,
wow.
But I think I know the guy that there was a guy that played the actual drums. He wasn't doing all that crazy shit. There was like a dude doing that.
Of course, you would know something like the guy in the background.
I can't think of his name, but I think I know a guy. I think I know that guy.
You went straight Chicago right now. That was great.
Yeah, it comes out, and my buddy makes fun of me because I say dis and dat.
Oh, you do?
I think maybe that's a Chicago thing.
How do you say the thing on top of your house?
Oh, I would say a roof.
See?
A roof.
See? People, yeah, I always said roof. And a lot of my family, the roof needs fixing.
That's good.
That's good.
Yeah, okay. Interesting. I can go on. That's a deep rabbit hole of
This is a
language.
Chicago show.
Yeah.
We can go as many rabbit holes as you want.
Yeah.
But you moved out. You came out here for that program. How did you actually say, like, all right, I'm gonna like be a drummer? Were you trying to gravitate towards band stuff, or like studio session stuff, or touring just happened naturally? How did it happen?
When I was in LA already, I had just fascinated about playing in arenas like growing up. So that was always like my biggest dream like at that time. So I think I already did the band thing in Chicago in high school, and then when I came out here, I was a little confused because I wanted to do the jazz thing. I was really into all this avant-garde, crazy stuff that doesn't make any money. But then you're in LA, so the gigs that are here are mostly pop based. So I just kind of got thrown in that world of just not really on purpose. I was just hustling so hard, like scouring Craigslist for any gig, and I ended up getting this gig with a guy named Darren Criss, who was he was on Glee for a while, and he was like, he's blown up now doing all these TV shows and shit. But that came from responding to a free gig on Craigslist, opening for him at the Mint, which is a club here in LA.
Yeah.
And that was like 8 years ago, and met him. It was just gigs seemed to, for me, always came from just like hustling and doing this weird shit that always led to cool stuff. It was, I think statistically, the more people the more gigs you'll get. So that was always my mindset.
So you started with that Mint gig, and then where did it hit where it was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in these arenas?
Shortly after that, I mean,
Quick?
Well, that gig lasted a little while, and he started to do like more TV stuff. So that gig ended, but then that was a big gig for like me.
Of
That was
course.
my first like major label gig, and then you start posting pictures of you doing stuff that, like in a bigger room, and then stuff that seems to kind of snowball off that. I think the next gig I got was with this girl Bea Miller.
BEA.
BEA.
Yeah, I know Bea Miller.
And we went on tour with Selena Gomez opening for Selena.
I think I've heard of her.
Yeah, she's one of those stars. It was like us and this band DNCE, and then Selena, and that was my first arena experience. So I got to do all that stuff, and that was cool. But and then, it just keeps happening.
Snowballing to the next, and
the
everyone.
next, and
Is it usually? Do you have like a manager, or people just like know you? They call you up and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna go on tour this March. You coming on or what?"
No manager. Never had a manager or an agent. I know dudes that do, but
if you can get the work without it,
if you can get the work without it, you keep the whole paycheck.
you're saving that.
But
Tell me. I want you to name drop. I want people in Chicago to hear some of the coolest stories. Because look, the road, I have never had to do it fully. I've seen people have to do it. It's rough, but they're crazy stories. You got to give me something.
stories.
With people. I don't. It doesn't have to be salacious. I'm just talking like fun stuff.
This comes up a lot. I don't. It's hard to like. There's so much shit that happens. It's like
Give me 10 artists that people would know that you have toured with.
Okay. Well, recently I've been playing with Liz Phair, who's from Chicago.
Yes,
and that's
she
been
is.
like a cool thing.
I'll try. I'm trying. I've reached out to a publicist to get her over here. We'll see. We'll get there.
I'm sure she is the coolest, and
I hear
would
she's
probably
cool.
love to do this. I mean, she's just like, she's a great.
Just
boss.
chill.
And this current year, I'll be playing with a girl named LP.
Don't know who that is.
Super dope, great singer, and we're traveling all over the world. We leave next week for South America and doing a bunch of shit.
LP.
Just the letters LP.
But is a pop singer?
Pop singer. Yeah.
Young?
From New York, lives here, and IamLP.com is her site, and it has like all her dates and shit.
I'll look her up. Cool.
And Post was very brief, but that was cool. Post Malone and Bea and Bea Miller and God, there's a few in there. Darren, there was a girl Christina Grimmie who I played with for a while.
I've heard of her.
And that her story was pretty tragic towards the end.
Yes.
And Booker T in the MGs. Well, not
Dude,
not the MGs,
that's like a completely
I
other
know.
side of music. But that must have been fun though.
That was great. That lasted quite a while. It was nice, and it was cool to also be like flying and doing a pop gig, and then that's like super track heavy. And it's like just everyone's playing with in-ears, and there's like there's a metronome going the whole time. There's tracks, and
Wow.
and then go straight to Booker T, which is none of that, and
Right, like
just-
it's very
just
raw, just like going at it, and
very raw and old
That's-
school. And
that's cool though.
I think he likes the young attitude or the young energy with the old mentality, or mature mentality.
That's cool.
So-
You seem like a very mature guy. I feel like that's like kind
thanks.
of no. I feel like that's kind of your vibe. I don't know. Maybe you tell me differently. I don't know.
I think I just ate a big meal and I'm just a little like subdued.
You're just pregnant right now. I
And
get
I'm
it.
like
It's so
I'm
good.
home and it's like this is like my only time to like be like this, home and be like this.
Yeah, I heard it.
Be
I
like
heard
this.
it.
And then tour starts next week and I'm just it's a whole other side of stuff. So
What are your breaks like? You get a week, 2 weeks, a month?
hardly any until December. It's pretty nuts. We do South America, all the Lollapaloozas and all that stuff, and then we do Australia and Russia, and then we come home for a few weeks, and then the U.S. tour starts, and then home for a week, and then Europe starts, and it's a mess. It's great.
Did you travel the world before you were touring like this?
I did my first Europe tour just out of high school with a guy named Chicago, Mike Beck. Actually, I don't know if you know that name. We used to play in like Libertyville and Waukegan, all those like towns back then. And we did a 7-week Europe tour. That was my first experience. So I was 19 when I first traveled. Like
Must have been awesome.
It was great. It was great. I think I was more excited about drinking like Jaeger bombs and shit.
Yeah, this is before the maturity, eating a sandwich or whatever you are now, subdued. But no, that's crazy because I don't know. I feel like the life of a tour, anybody touring, it's intense, but you get to see so much, man.
I get to see a lot of airports and a lot of hotels and a lot of backstages.
But once in a while, you got to be going out. There has to be something.
Of course, yeah, but it's funny. Like people say, "Oh, wow, you get to see the whole world," and
No, it's a lot of like you're moving to the next spot.
traveling is nuts, and it's exhausting. You don't get to see as much. Maybe you don't get to see as much as you think people, think you see. So
Do you feel that because again you're at a higher echelon? I know friends who are in bands and like they're carrying all their gear and it's like that kind of stuff, loading in and out of like clubs. Do you have to do that, or are people doing that for you?
for this gig, I don't do any of that.
Isn't that awesome?
And that I started I've set up and taken down my drums thousands and thousands of times my whole life.
Well, of course,
And-
before, yeah.
Yeah, and even on some like bigger gigs, you still do that. And so that's like one thing I really don't take for granted. It's so nice to just be able to play. which
That's
is
cool.
how it should be in a lot of respects. So
I'm gonna dig in for some stories. I'm very curious of like, I don't know. For example, you went on with Selena Gomez. Did you actually get to hang with her? Or is this
hell no.
Do you feel like you get to hang out with any of the guys, or are you always just a part of like the crew? How does it usually work?
Well, the band usually hangs out with the band, and then the crew hangs out with the crew, and then the artists kind of have like their own. She had the artist usually has like their own bus, or at that level, and then she had like a recording studio bus. There was like her personal bus, then there was like a recording studio bus, and then a band bus, and a crew bus, and then like another, it was just tons of shit. And then for like an opening band where we were in, like, we were the second opener, so we're playing like, you're playing arenas, but then the door open, you play and it's like 7:00, and there's like, there's more people at Mickey Finn's in Libertyville or something.
It's funny,
But
man, whatever.
it
It's
was
still
great.
cool.
Yeah, and so the band usually hangs out just with the band.
Who's been the coolest person that you got to actually tour with?
The last couple of years have been all really cool. I mean, like LP is super dope and has become like actually a really good friend of mine, and the band is so close. I've only known them for a year, but it's crazy to even say, because we are such good buddies now. But Booker T was probably like the coolest, because that's just such a legendary gig as a drummer to follow. Al Jackson. That's like the OG shit. I mean, it's a legendary gig. I think it's cool. And Liz is great too. I mean, and she's coming out with like a new record, and she put out a book, and that's a very exciting time for her.
So when you got to travel, she was cool with you. She wasn't one of those people like she had to have her own like complete separation from you.
That gig, Liz loves to hang. She's super dope. Like she's a band dude.
That's cool.
There's no like musical director for that band, and it's like very raw and rock and roll. And
Do you guys talk Chicago?
we love to talk Chicago. Yeah, we just talk about Portillo's and Wiener Circle and I don't know what I don't want to offend your favorite
No.
your favorite pizza place.
No, do it. We do this a lot on the show. We go back and forth. We talk. I've taught people about pizza, and they taught me about it.
Do
So
you want to say our favorite on the count of 3?
Mine's gonna be very. My favorite is very like you would never have heard of it. You would never have heard of it.
Interesting. Is it Pequod's?
It's not Pequod's,
Okay.
but it's
not mine. That's not mine.
It's in the same. But we'll do the one that we both know is the bigger name. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Lose.
Lunati's.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. But I'm not offended when people say like Gino's East or Giordano's, but
It's
it
not the
seems like
same.
but people that don't know what's going on love like Gino's East because they've never like.
I feel like people who really don't know it, and I hate to say this because I tell people this is like, if they sponsor me, one day I gotta be like, oh, I love Giordano's. But to be completely honest, I never got Giordano's. And the people who I feel like really don't know much about it are like, oh, I love that spinach. I'm like, dude, that shit's like sloppy. It's not for me.
Sloppy pizza.
Sloppy pizza. Have you gone Sherman Oaks for Gino's East?
No, and I won't. I think it's like
Really?
It's going back to Chicago and eating that. I'm also trying like not to eat all that shit. It's just like it messes me up.
Yeah,
in
it's
my
tough.
old age and all that cheese.
You are a senior.
Yeah, I feel like it sometimes, but yeah, I like going home and eating it because it's just like it brings me back.
Yeah.
My mom lives there still, and it's like a thing we'll do. And I know there's a Portillo's in Buena Park.
I haven't gone to it yet, but I know it's there.
Tastes exactly the same. It's great.
That's cool.
But
Have you been to Moss out here?
I wasn't that impressed.
Really?
Yeah, I love the vibe in there. I don't like waiting for like
there's
2 hours of pizza.
It's a long wait.
And that's the best part about Chicago pizza like that. You don't have to wait.
Right. It's special, but it's like they got the
The
system.
turnover rate. I used to work at Luminati's
Really?
in Buffalo Grove.
Oh shit.
Yeah, in high school. It was. Yeah.
Did you ever have Marcello's?
I don't know what that is. What's Marcello's?
There's one in Northbrook now.
Is that your favorite place?
No, it's where I used to work.
Oh.
So there's a father and son. It's called Father and Son Pizza. There's one in Milwaukee in the city, and then there was one eventually that went to Northbrook. But they had like the higher up family version of it. It was like a somewhat fine dining, and that's where I worked in. I went to U of I in Champaign, and then I transferred for film school. And when I transferred, I had to get a job. Literally a hookup through a family friend.
Nice.
Got me the job. So I also did the pizza thing.
Nice. Yeah, it's a good job. I
It
was also
is.
like in my hippie, jam band phase when I was working there. So all the free pizzas.
Oh yeah.
It was a.
But it gets
nice.
tiring. That's what sucks. Anything that you really, really love, when you really get into it, there are things you eventually start hating, which sucks. Like I'm not talking about like drumming. I'm talking about like I can't eat deep dish. If I couldn't eat deep dish pizza every day.
That's a shame. That's maybe why I don't eat it out here. Because
yeah, you gotta
it's
like
special to go and crave it when I save it for back home.
Did you ever get it shipped out here, or when you were on tour, did you ever say like, "Mom, send it to me over here in Sydney, Australia"?
She has. Yeah, I mean, it's the frozen pizza's good, but still,
It's not the same.
It's not the same. It's not the same, and I never cook it right. It's always like a little cold. And you got to put it back in. I don't know. I don't fuck with it. I just want to go there and eat it. In its
cool.
Original form.
I agree. And that buttery crust. Yeah,
Butter crust with sausage and spinach.
Is that what you usually get?
Isn't that the vibe? Sausage and spinach.
I usually don't get that.
What do
But
you
is that what you get?
What do you get?
I'll go straight cheese with deep dish. I go straight cheese, and sometimes I'll do pepperoni. But
Pepperoni,
but it's
sausage
different.
is the.
But that's the thing. Well, it's Chicago's very sausage based.
Sausage.
But for deep dish pizza, I think I feel like it's so much already. I just kind of like, just give me cheese, I'm fine.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot.
I wanted to know just because, again, I never did the band thing. I always really wanted to be completely honest. It was just always a dream, but I wasn't, no way I'll have an inch of talent compared to what you have. But did you, like now, for example, do you ever say, I just don't want to travel so much anymore. I want to get a band together. I want to do this, like,
Never. Not once.
Isn't that, to me, that's awesome. Like, if you didn't have the aspiration for it, you don't feel like it's like a let. You You don't mind being the chameleon for every single other band.
I love being told what to do and playing the same thing every night. It's like takes the edge. It's like
That is so
way
weird.
less stressful. And then touring with bands or like seeing bands where like they're the artist, and it's so much. It's like a lot of stress, and just being like the drummer in a pop act is great, and I love that. So
That's awesome.
it's changed for me. I didn't always want to do that, but I mean, for now, it's great. Well, I'm younger and I can like still do that without like a family and
You're not married?
dogs running around now.
No, definitely no kids.
Not yet. So I'm just
Girlfriend?
yeah.
Is she okay with you traveling?
Yeah.
What does she do?
Yeah, she's a dancer.
Does she do traveling for herself?
Not really. She's more of a teacher in town. We actually met in China on a gig. I was like, she's Australian, so I was playing drums on a gig, and she was dancing on the gig, and that was that. But
How long have you guys been together?
quite a while, yeah. 6 years, 7 years.
7 years.
Yeah. I mean, we also did we were long distance Australia to LA for 5 years.
I see. So
And-
she was Australian. She was like still living there.
Yeah, she had a life. She
Oh,
went
wow.
back there, and I came back, and but Sherman Oaks to San Fernando is long distance. It's so, not, with touring LA to Australia, it was like the same thing. And I was so busy at that time, traveling nonstop, and she was teaching and working full time. So it just worked. I don't know how it worked. I was always bad at holding relationships, and
And this one clearly stuck.
it stuck. Yeah, it was.
What's her name?
great. Kate.
Kate, you did a good job.
Thank you. She'll be thrilled to hear.
Dude, that's really cool.
Yeah, and it somehow just works. I think just FaceTime helps.
Oh yeah. Technology
just
helps.
shit
for sure.
like that. It's it helps.
What do you do? What do you do when you go to Chicago now, for example? Like, because how often do you go back?
It's hard to go back. Actually, my mom is coming out here in a few days. It's like hang out just because it's tough.
We
to
should have
go
waited.
back.
She should have come.
She would have loved that.
Should have been like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah, I'm sure she would have a lot to say. She's very Chicago proud. When I go back, I usually, it's just nice to be home, like in the Vernon Hills home, and hang. Still have my dad's old kit there, and I got like guitars down there and in the basement, and it's just nice to be there. It's a very calming, environment to be in, and I don't get a chance just to fly out there just to be there, so it's usually like around a few tour dates, and I can extend my trip or whatever. And I should probably, a cool thing my dad and I did was collect cards,
Like sports cards?
Yeah, like
Oh, dude,
all of us did.
Had all of them.
And we had so many that we were the sports collectors of the year in the Upper Deck Beckett. I should have brought this fucking
What? Like you were like in the magazine?
oh yeah, picture and everything. We had like 30
What year is this? I wonder if I've seen you.
I was 11, so whatever that is, 20 years ago.
We're 3 years apart, dude.
Yeah. So
I
we
probably have
collected
seen
some
you.
shit.
I've seen you in my
You
Beckett.
might have seen the Beckett, and I have so many of those Becketts still. And I actually had a guy come over. This dude, I forgot his name, but he was he's like a appraiser for baseball cards. He's like the biggest nerd. Actually went to Stevenson, and he came over to the house and appraised all this stuff. I got like this OG Michael Jordan rookie card, and there must be 30 or 40,000 baseball and basketball cards, and he put it all in alphabetical order, and it was nuts. So that was like a cool thing. That's all still in Chicago.
You said that a bunch of people collect cards. I don't know anybody who talks about that anymore. That was like my religion.
Same. It's a
What's-
forgotten love of
What is the best card you ever had?
probably that Michael Jordan rookie
I
card.
think it's like $3,000.
They could be up to $30,000. It just depends.
It's just
on
how
like,
mint condition it is.
how yeah, they look, and like if the corners have like a little bit of white, then it goes down. It's like graded.
Right. Did you collect that, or you bought that, or what?
I don't know how I got that, but it was in like 3-inch glass, and all these cards. I mean, he just had so much shit, Mickey Mantle shit. I mean, really crazy stuff. And he was shocked. This guy came over. He couldn't believe how much stuff there was. I mean, it was crazy. So I debated about like selling some stuff, like the whole lot together. But I think whatever money I would get for that is not worth the memory leaving. I just like looking at it.
I'm going to say right now, because I have little ones now, save it.
Yeah, that was, that's the thought.
Save it. I like it unless you have a really bad tour and it just goes bad and you need the money. But
yeah, even still,
is there like a man cave that's still there?
The guest room is the man cave. Yeah, just full of shit that
When
my mom doesn't want.
When you go back, take pictures and send it to me, because I'm actually like, if I can during this episode, if I could flash it, I would do it. Or have your mom take a picture. Or
I
something.
will. I have some, and I will send it to you.
Because that's cool. I'm sure you have a lot of awesome Chicago gear.
Lots of Chicago gear.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff. I almost wore my three-peat hat for you tonight.
That's, dude. I was the first three-peat, the original old school one,
the white one. It's great. I have all that stuff. And
did you ever go to the rallies? Because
what rallies?
Bulls rallies when they won.
No, I can't remember going to a rally, but I saw a million games, of course, like we all did. And
yeah.
It's great. Like now, being a little older, to look back on, going to those games it's cool. It's cool to say
that you saw Mike.
You were there when. Yeah.
Were you a big Sox fan?
Big Sox fan and a big Cubs fan. I mean, both. We went to both games. I think my dad was more, on the Sox side of things. Yeah, he worked in the big and tall industry, so he was like fitting clothes for all these dudes.
Oh.
Frank Thomas, like, and huge, humongous dudes, like, 40X pants and just, yeah. So he was around all the sports stuff. And we used to go to these sports auctions and,
meet all the players and stuff.
Yeah, and like signings and stuff. It was crazy. It was a great time. And it's kind of like sad that it's not around. That was such a cool thing for kids.
Yeah.
Everyone collected cards. And if someone didn't,
yeah, you were the cool kid. What sucks though is the value of them these days are not, like, no one cares about it that much. But even if it's not, I felt like back in maybe your parents' days and my parents' days, when they got cards, there was a little bit more rarity. I felt, maybe I'm wrong, because then eventually they just started making so many of them that if you get a Michael Jordan rookie card, of course it's like, it's insane.
That's the holy grail.
Yeah, exactly. That is the number one.
I was saying, like 30,000 of these cards are worthless. A fraction of a penny because they were so mass produced.
Right.
Between like 80 and 99.
Right.
But anything like pre 1975, like old tops,
exactly,
worth a lot.
Yes.
Like a lot of money. And I don't think he had any of those crazy old ones. Well, he did a few, but most of them were like the mass made, that era of like popularity.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's sad. It's like he should have sold that. What he should have done, he should have sold everything when it was really hot.
Right. Well, but nobody ever wants to do that.
No one wants to do that, and he couldn't have known. But now it's like a lot of that stuff is just valueless.
What's nice though, not to get all sentimental, but the fact is, like, after you passed, like that's yours now, and that's like what you shared. So that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool.
And you'll pass it on. It's cool. Trust me. There's a weird geek out moment where you're like, these kids have no idea what I'm doing.
I know.
Just getting jerseys. I used to get jerseys.
Ton of them.
And now it's kind of like, now it's more of like a trendy thing. Back then it was like, I want to get as many as I can of my favorite players.
Of course.
And I don't know. It was just a thing that we always wanted to do. And it wasn't like I needed to get the official one. I actually, for some reason, didn't like the official one. They were too heavy and I didn't like the stitching.
Yeah.
But did you have jerseys?
I have a few in Chicago still. Like I'm sure I have a Pippen one.
Yeah.
Rodman. I love Dennis Rodman. Even still.
Did you ever meet him? I literally just talked about him last night on this show.
I'm sure I have. I don't know. Probably. But I used to go trick or treating at Michael Jordan's house, and because he always used to have like the massive candy bars.
I never have you. So did you ever meet him, or he was just
many times?
You
many
did
times, many times. Yeah, he just around that world and living in the suburbs. I mean, he was like 10 minutes away.
That was literally what people always said. Like, who did you want to meet as a kid? Mine was MJ, and I never got to do it.
He's the best.
Did you? Who was your childhood?
He's the best. Like,
yeah, you're my bro. Yeah. Who was your childhood person? Who was your best Chicago childhood person?
Like athlete only?
Or whatever.
Well, Michael Jordan, really. In like the sports world, yeah. Sammy Sosa.
Back in the day, of course.
Kerry Wood, like those dudes were like that was like idol status as a kid. And
did you get to meet any of those?
My dad has a picture of. I think I did meet Frank Thomas actually. ginormous dude.
Yeah, the Big Hurt, man.
Now he has a record label, I think, called Big Hurt Records.
He does?
Don't quote me on that.
But he does?
I 99.9% sure that is or was a thing in the past.
Forget about the title. He has a record label?
Yeah, it seems appropriate, you know. He's just a Chicago dude.
Why don't you get him with that? You should just be like, look, I can drum for this Joe Schmo on Big Hurt Records.
It was a time and a place. And now
it's over.
It's over. It's over. Yeah, and musically, the Chicago dudes like Humphreys. Yeah. Now I'm not such a huge fan, but like that was such a big part. Those were the heroes of mine growing up, and yeah, I don't know.
Are they from Chicago?
Some of them I think are from Wisconsin, if I'm not mistaken, or Indiana, and then some are from Chicago. Chris is from Chicago, drummer.
I didn't know
He's
that.
become like a good buddy.
That's cool.
Yeah.
No, I mean,
small world.
It is. I tell people a lot who don't know about like Chicago people out here. Once you meet them, it's like we're all friends, like without having to be that way.
Instantly.
You know?
Instantly.
What do you miss most about the city?
I miss the weather.
Really?
Not winter, but I miss the change of seasons. It's like hotter, and just scalding here. And I miss like true autumn, you know, or like just real fall. It's just, I miss that over there.
Did you watch football?
Was never really big into football. No.
So it's basketball and baseball.
Yeah.
Hockey?
Never. Still never. No golf. None of that.
And you never played it. Did you play?
Played baseball. I was a catcher for years. My dad was actually,
the coach.
Yeah. So that was fun.
Did you play through high school?
I tried out freshman year as a catcher and didn't make the team. And I think that because I didn't make the team, I went the music way.
Wow. Had it not been, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, I really think that, actually, because I was so into baseball at that time. And I wanted to get on that team so bad. And I didn't. And then I started playing guitar, metal guitar. And I was doing so bad in school already. I think I graduated with like a 1.9 or something.
Why though? You seem like a really bright dude.
Oh,
thanks. You just didn't apply.
I hated school. It wasn't even because some people, once like a parent passes away, they think like academics like that, and drugs. It wasn't really like that. I was already like into that stuff early high school. Nothing really changed negatively. I just became more focused on just playing drums for real. It kind of helped actually in a way.
No, of course. That's like the thing, you're focused on that. You're not focused on other crap. But
instead of skipping school and like, doing a bunch of drugs and going downtown, I'd like skip school to go home and play drums. That was like my idea of skipping school for a day. Sorry, teachers. And
he's done okay.
He's done okay.
Your mom, she didn't put any pressure, nothing, like just like.
I think the opposite. It's kind of like life is short. You gotta go play drums and do that thing.
That is the coolest.
Super cool.
Super cool.
Super cool. Thank you, Mom. She's great.
See you in a couple of days, Mom. But that's
in a couple of days. Yeah, she killed it because I could have gone to Columbia and just been on a different path. Also because going to school out there and just playing music, you're not exposed to like pop music. It's like more of a jobbing city.
Sure.
So we say that as like weddings and corporate events. It's like, Dua Lipa or Post Malone is not going to go to Chicago to look for a band.
Right.
They're going to be in LA. So like moving out here and then doing that, you get exposed right away to all those gigs. And I think if I would just stayed in Chicago, I would have just been, I don't know, totally different path. May not even be playing music anymore. I don't know. It's just, yeah.
I always ask people if their family has ever said, come back.
Never. Now I can bring her here.
Does she want to?
I think someday. Yeah, someday soon. I would love that.
Well,
I would love that.
If and when you decide to have a family, that's the number one thing. If you can snag a family member to hang out here,
I know.
Because it is expensive to live out here, and it's a lot of work for everything. If you can have family, do it. Tell her. I mean, what else? Your sister does. Where does she live?
She's in New York. She does. Like,
oh, that's right. She's doing the musical theater thing. Yeah. So your mom would have to decide which way to fly.
Well, you're deciding between like moving to another cold weather place, or like moving to, you know,
Would your sister be pissed?
yeah.
Forget it. She chose her own cold path.
Forget about it. Yeah, New York's crazy, but she does have like some. We have family in New Jersey, New York, and no one's in LA besides me. But it just seems like LA is a great place to like grow old. You know,
Well,
not in LA proper maybe, but you know, it's a little more calm out here. And weather's warmer, more. You know, it's easier on older people.
Yeah. How did you end up in San Fernando?
Sylmar.
Okay, I know where Sylmar is. You could just say that. We're all in the San Fernando Valley. But Sylmar, why Sylmar? Like, it's just an interesting...
I bought a house in Sylmar.
How long ago?
A year and a half ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, congrats.
Thanks. Yeah, that was cool. That was super monumental because, you know, it just came from playing drums.
What other things do you want to accomplish? Like, you've done a lot. You're 31, and you've done a ton.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. I just want to keep kind of doing what I'm doing. This is like, you know, LP is playing really big shows now, which is great. And I don't know. It's a hard question. I think eventually I want to be able to have like a nice recording studio in my house. But a lot of guys are doing that full time, and it's really hard to like.
It's a full-time job.
That's a full-time gig.
Yeah.
But, you know, later years when I don't want to travel and play 250 shows a year or whatever, like I could be home and hanging. I could like actually have a dog then, and you know,
like have a real person's
life. Yeah. But for right now, I think this is great.
No, it's cool.
I don't know. I'm happy, content with this life, you know, of traveling, and I think it really boils down to the people that you're traveling with, because a huge tour with really just not fun people is not fun at all. So,
what do you prefer, bus or plane?
Privately or commercially?
Well, I'm talking specifically on tour, which would, I guess, be commercially, right?
I've done both. I actually, you know, privately is cool, but I actually prefer the miles.
Oh, there
Delta
you go.
guy.
You're a Delta guy. So that's what I was asking. Do you enjoy being like on a bus, specifically seeing the countryside go by or whatever it is, or is it like, no man, I like hopping on that plane, watching TV, passing? I mean,
both. I like both equally for different reasons. A bus, you can check out, and you wake up and you're like in a parking lot in Nashville. Sucks about Nashville. I heard it this whole time.
Oh, I know, Bob. Yeah, for everybody
nuts.
who's watching this right now, Nashville just got hit with a really bad tornado
in like East Nashville, which is like the
hit
part, and
right.
So
it's where a lot of the musicians are, and
yeah, it's horrible. But it's nice to wake up in a city. You know, if you're playing arenas in a bus tour, arenas are always like in the outskirts. Like you end up in Rosemont or something.
Right, the Allstate Arena.
When you're playing like clubs, and you know, if you're playing like the Wiltern here and you're on a bus, you wake up and you're in Koreatown, and it's great. So I love that aspect of the bus. Plane's cool because you get, I mean, I love the mile game. I love all that shit. You know, you get to like accumulate things, and you know, you get in like a routine of getting there, and you know, you get places faster and straight to the hotel, and I don't know. I mean, I guess bus. That's the short answer. I like bus.
Cool.
Depending on how many people are on the bus.
And if they're good people.
And if they're good people. Yeah, 12 dudes or 13 dudes on the bus can get like super weird really quick.
But so. I assume your girlfriend's got to be happier when there are more dudes than girls.
Of course. Because
there's got to be those discussions of like, who are you talking to on that bus?
Yeah, it's at this point in our relationship, it's easy. It's just,
that's great. You know. If you got to that point, that's.
And she's been out so many times. I mean, it's like you wake up and you go eat, and you go to the hotel, and then maybe I'll sound check for a second or go walk around, and then you play the show, and then you go to bed. It's like there's not much crazy. Like I think the Van Halen days are over.
Right. Yeah. No one's taping stuff to the top of a ceiling.
Not really. I mean, it's like now is like vegan, healthy, like a rock star mentality, and like it's going to bed early. I mean,
but I feel like there's something cool about that too. I'll be honest, because it really comes down to you just hanging out and doing the music. It's not about like just prostitutes and drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure for certain people, yes, but no.
Yeah, certain people.
Yeah. You don't seem the type.
Yeah.
You're a Jewish boy from Vernon
I'm a
Hills.
nice Jewish boy from Chicago. I'm a Portillo's lover. And yeah, it's much more tame, but it's the only way you can last.
Yeah.
We're gonna be gone for 9 months straight next week.
Oh my
And
God.
if you're like eating like shit and partying all night, you won't last. I mean, you're gonna sound bad.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a bad attitude. You're gonna look terrible, and it's just like all those things combined will like get you fired from a gig. You're late.
Have you ever been fired from a gig?
Never.
I didn't think you would be.
Not even close.
Yeah, see, it's so funny. School, tough time. On the road,
I
no,
know.
you nail it.
I know. Well, it's like under a 2.0 in high school. Then this music school, I was a 4.0, like first in my class.
Stuff that you love doing.
One of the first in the class. It was great. So, just playing drums. Yeah.
Chicago venues, real quick.
Yeah.
The favorite Chicago venues you played? I mean, there's a ton.
There's a lot.
Shuba's.
I like Shuba's. A little small.
It is small.
A little small, but cool vibe.
I enjoyed some cool shows there. Bottom Lounge?
I don't think I've ever played the Bottom Lounge. Been there.
Really?
Yeah,
I feel like
played.
you would have had to have.
No, I liked like the Riv and Metro. Actually, is the Riv still around or did it close?
The Riv, I don't know. I was going to ask you,
Maybe I think the
is the
Vic.
Metro still around?
The Metro is around. I played there with Liz Phair. We did like 3 nights in a row.
Really?
It was our last. Yeah, she did 2 or 3 nights there at like the end of her tour, and then
Is the Riv
LP
the one on Halstead? Which one's the one on?
Then you lose me with Streets because I
Oh
haven't been there
God,
in
it's
so
been a
long.
while.
It's like-
I know.
But
Dude,
the Vic is around. I know that because LP played there, and then at the end of July, I think, or when's Lollapalooza? We're doing Lollapalooza.
that's got to be so much fun to go back and you're literally playing to a massive Chicago crowd.
Yeah, that's always fun for me. I've done that quite a few times, and it's really nice. And
Do people like say, and from Chicago?
of course,
Do they give you your
Of
like
cour-
moment?
Of course, yeah. But it just hypes everyone up,
Dude, that's awesome.
But not to give away the secret, but a lot of bands or artists will say, and from Missoula, hometown Missoula boy. No one's from Missoula, but just to pumps people up.
That's so funny. So like, this guy, I'm actually from Germany.
Speaking of, I have a Chicago flag tattooed on my leg that I
We
got,
see it?
that I got in Missoula. Oh,
It's
yeah.
okay. Here, this is your camera. Make it happen.
Well, LA makes you wear these really tight, skinny jeans. So, do you see that?
I don't think that's LA. No.
that-
Here, let me try
I'll
here.
back up.
If I need to, I'll adjust.
How about that? You see? Look
Dude,
at that.
that's
Super
awesome.
Weirdly bad tattoo.
Well, it looks like it went through a little meltdown or
Yeah,
something.
I don't know what happened, but I got that in Missoula because I thought that was a place that would just give good Chicago flag tattoos.
You're just like, if I have to go get it, I'll go to Missoula for that.
I'm the real deal, dude. I got a Chicago tattoo. Yeah,
But that's cool though. Like that must have. I don't know. The first time, if it was me, and all of a sudden Liz Phair goes, and my homeboy from Chicago, and then like,
it's dope. It's the coolest thing ever. Of course.
do you still get off of like the idea of when they give you that moment? Because they always do this every concert I've ever gone to. Neal, yeah, it's like Neal Daniels, your little solo.
No
Like,
Dugga Duggas. More like one of those. Or like a little. I'm not much of a stick twirler, but just a hello. Hello.
but they always give
like
you
nights.
your due.
Yeah. Well, if they don't have to, it seems like the bigger the show is,
Yeah,
they won't do that because it's like
takes time away from.
takes time. But like club shows and Liz is a band guy.
So she takes care of you.
Yeah, it's a great gig, and she appreciates band members because she's a band member.
Right.
So
That's so cool.
She takes time to introduce everyone. And
That's cool. I don't know. I just feel like even when that happens, even if you've done it a billion times, it's like it's the acknowledgement of the
it's
fact that like
nice to be acknowledged
No,
because
it's
a lot of
cool.
guys aren't. So it's nice.
I know a lot of times you're kind of the unsung hero. You're in the back. You've had to have one. Some girl threw some panties. Something happened.
No panties. More like I'll get like a vegan granola bar thrown at me or something.
Wait,
No.
what?
Just no real panty stories. Maybe in like my van touring days with like other, in my really raunchy first started touring days, there was like crazy shit. I mean, we were like, I was touring with one guy in a van, in a 12-passenger van, no hotels, and we would sleep on the seats some guys would be like 3 seats or 15 passenger van, so 3 seats, and then we'd sleep on the floor under the seat.
Oh God!
But it was great because I never toured in a bus, and like I hadn't even like really flown anywhere. You know, it was like that was like what touring was, and I think maybe now that's kind of why I have like such a good appreciation for clean buses, and because I started really like truly sleeping on floors, and like if we did sleep in a place, it was always because he would yell it out on stage, and we need a place to sleep, and then couch, floor every night for years.
Wow.
So, I mean, I guess that's a half-assed story.
But no drama ever happened on these things. I feel like there's got to be fights. There's got to be something when you're with these people for 9 months at a time, and you're kind of forced with them. Hopefully, you get good people, but you never know.
You get good people, but fights really don't happen because people are good at separating themselves.
They just know.
Like I need Neal time. I go off on my own all the time, more so than hang. Not because I don't want to hang, but I just like being by myself out there. It's kind of nice sometimes.
So you go into Sydney, Australia. You just drive around, or you do your Uber around, or whatever you do.
Yeah, just walk around, and I don't need to hang. Like if I'm on a 10-hour bus ride in Russia, I don't need to get off the bus and go have dinner with everybody. I like just going off and hanging. So I think a bigger tour, like what LP is doing now, it's like people are just good at no drama.
That's awesome.
It's really and it's rare, but it's really nice, and that's why everyone's like sticking around this year and hopefully for many years to come, because she's
young, right? How old is she?
I don't know how old she is. I don't know. She's been doing it for a while, but I don't know. I've never actually really asked, to be honest.
I'm glad that's working out, though.
Yeah, she looks great, and she sounds really great, like really good. Her voice is ridiculous.
I'm gonna check this girl out. I don't even know who she is, and I know music, and I don't know who this girl is.
That seems to be the case. Like here, we're playing the Greek. That's the only show we're playing in LA this year.
One of the
June 10th.
For all you Chicagoans, if you ever have a chance to do a show in LA, the Greek is so much fun. It's like it's an amphitheater. It's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's big. It's cool.
I like it better than the Hollywood Bowl. I'll be honest.
Me too. It looks the same, but it's just a little smaller. And Liz Phair is doing the bowl this year.
She is.
Yeah, she's supporting Alanis Morissette and Garbage.
Are you going? Are you going to be doing it?
I may jump in and out if I can, because she's doing that U.S. tour the same time LP is doing her tour. So if there's I have a sub that's doing all the Liz stuff.
Last question. Do you teach?
I will, but it's not really fair to kids because I'm gone so much. They need like consistency, So if I was here more, I would love to. I do love teaching, but to like maybe little older kids or
people who are like ready to actually do it.
Want to actually play drums, and not because mom needs like a babysitter for an hour, which there are a lot of those, especially in LA, because they're just like dying for their kids to do something besides sit on TikTok or whatever.
Real quickly, where can people find your stuff? What do you want them to check out? Hit it.
Well, nealdaniels.com. NEAL is.
Let these people know.
Hi. Well, Instagram is probably the best. / we're at Neal Daniels _ NEAL. And yeah, that's keeps like it's like the most updated stuff.
Dude, this was awesome because again, like I knew you a little bit on the periphery. Guys, check him out, and thanks so much for watching Chiaspora. Take care.